Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, and every week we bring you the stories of people who are making the lives of others better near, far, locally, globally, digitally. And the whole idea for us is to address something that is very sacred to Rotarians everywhere: service above self, that joy and meaning that comes from helping others. We believe in Rotary that by pooling time, talent, and treasure, we can make a real difference in our communities all over. We hope that you will take an interest in this and take a look at Rotary.org, our international organization, or maybe even our specific club at Rotary.cool. So, our programs are always designed to help spread a certain kind of enthusiasm and inspiration about how Rotarians and the groups associated with Rotary make the world better. And today we're going to talk with the international project coordinator for Interact District 5170, Chloe Nguyen. She'll tell us a little bit more about Interact generally. The bottom line is that Interact clubs are typically high school-based clubs that are supported by Rotary clubs, and the cool things that teens do to improve their communities. So energizing and inspiring, like we talked about before. So we are really proud to have you here, Chloe. Welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, and I hand the mic over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Rushton, for the brief introduction and for allowing me to be here today to talk a little bit about Interact and my project. So, Interact District 5170 is a youth service organization that is sponsored by Rotary. So, thank you so much to all the Rotarians that are able to do that for Interact. So, we are District 5170 has clubs all over the San Francisco Bay Area. So, you have clubs ranging from all the way in Hollister all the way to Oakland. So very, very big district. And essentially, like you said, we are a high school-based organization, and middle school actually. So we do have some middle school clubs as well. And what we do is we're youth making positive impact locally and internationally. So we have this by doing two projects every year. So we have a community project and the international project. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the international project this year, as I am the one who curated it this year. So this year's international project is Heartbeats of Hope, which is a project that we fundraise heart surgeries for young children in Vietnam with congenital heart defects. So through the process of creating this project, I did a lot of research to find a partner that we could potentially work with. And I found Vina Capital Foundation, and they have a project called Heartbeat Vietnam. And they would do the same exact thing that our project for the international project does. So they have this project where they have outreach rural clinics where they go to rural areas in Vietnam where they look for and screen young children for free to see what potential health defects they have, like congenital heart defects. And they work on fundraising money to provide and have these surgeries for free of charge. And this is where Interact comes in this year. And we are working to fundraise and help Vina Capital Foundation with their project as well. So, um, with this project, we're currently fundraising around $50,000, and Vina Capital has it so that one children to get a free heart surgery is around 1,500 USD. So essentially, this year we're working to fundraise heart surgeries for around 33 children. And 33 children may not, or 33, the number doesn't seem that big, but it actually is a very, very big difference for these young children that don't have that access to healthcare. They can't even have enough access to get vaccinated. And surgeries are a very, very big deal and very, very expensive. So this year we have um, many different, well, every year we have this event that we have that's called IFR, which is the Interact Fall Rally. And essentially, it's a event where all the areas come together, so all 12 different areas. And we host these bonding events where we have area competitions. So they consist of tug of war and different like musical chairs and all these different events to boost morale. But of course, the main event for IFR is the announcing of the projects. So we usually play a video of the project. And of course, I give my speech on why it's important and what it is this year. And it's always an event that everyone loves to see and come to look at. And of course, with this project comes other events that happen to raise money for these projects. So we have this event called Power, which is the President's Winter Retreat. And essentially for this event, people come together and we are essentially educating these young individuals and giving them the necessary skills through workshops to go back to their home clubs and be able to manage their clubs as well. But of course, we're looking for potential successors for district council. For example, I'm looking for young individuals that have the same passion that I have to create another international project for the incoming year. Um, so that's one way that we not only spread the word about the international project, but also fundraise money and find potential suitors for or potential successors for the projects. And we also sell project shirts, which are handcrafted by our publication coordinators. And of course, they work with me and the community project coordinator to help um, essentially build a design that reflects the project for the incoming years. And of course, we have fundraisers, which are usually the main way of us fundraising money. So I host this event called, or Interact District 5170 hosts this event called Boba Wars, where we fundraise money for the international project. And it's a really fun way to bring all the areas together and fundraise for a good cause. So Boba Wars itself is basically all the different clubs throughout the different areas host a fundraiser specifically at a boba shop. And whoever fundraises the most money basically wins the Boba Wars. But of course, it's just a fun way to make sure that people are being educated on what exactly the international project is and fundraising for towards the $50,000 for these young children. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what Interact is about. It's service organization. So we do that through the international project and the community project. And yeah, that's pretty much um, basically what my project is this year and what Interact is about. But yeah, so
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're gonna move into plenty of Q&A. I'm excited about that. I want to introduce the group that we have got before doing that. So from our club in Houston, Texas, we've got Roy Olson and Gus, who frequently joins our recordings. In the Sacramento area, we've got our president, Mike Kane. My name is Rushton Hurley. I am in the San Francisco Bay Area. Also joining us is a member of the Rotary Club of San Francisco Bay Area. He is the advisor to the International Project Coordinator. He's Chloe's advisor and co-chair in the coming year for the Interact District 5170. Raymond. Raymond, thank you for joining us to support Chloe as well. All right. So in starting, Chloe, tell us a little bit about the process. So if someone becomes the international project coordinator, is that person essentially tasked with coming up with the project? And what is the timeline for doing that?
yeah, so the international project coordinator is definitely a very big role as it is basically the person that creates the project for the entirety of Interact District 5170. So we applied to be part of district council, and just being part of district council is definitely hard work, but it pays off, definitely for sure. So when I got my results, I got it around, I would say May, or not May, maybe like, yeah, I would say around May actually. And I basically start working right away. So I start researching a project that um, I'm very passionate about. And this year I wanted to create a project around healthcare. So I started doing a lot of research on different potential organizations that I could work with, and it specifically had to be a 501(c)(3) organization. And I looked for project or for partnering organizations in specifically Vietnam, because I am Vietnamese American and I wanted to do a project based in Vietnam. And I did a lot of different meetings. So I find different organizations and I email them and reach out to them and I ask if we can schedule meetings. So throughout my process as an international project coordinator, I actually had maybe like four different organizations that I looked into to have meetings with. Of course, I searched a ton of other organizations that some of them I was interested in, and some of them I didn't see exactly fit. So when we have these meetings, we look for many different things. Specifically, how exactly they operate, what are they fighting for, what cause are they fighting for, and if it aligns with Interact. And of course, we're looking for a partner that can has the same goals as Interact and can be presented to the audience of high schoolers. And I ended up coming across being a Capital Foundation, and I'm very happy. And we've been working very well. And we were able to basically create a project with them. And they are a very amazing organization. So, of course, the project, I am the person that basically handpicked out the organization and handpicked out the project. And it's definitely a long and tedious process, but definitely worthwhile, especially since I'm very passionate about it. And yeah, so after that, working with a partner, I have to figure out my speech and figure out how I can tell a story to interact District 5170 and educate these young high schoolers and middle schoolers on what exactly the project is about. But that's pretty much the process towards the beginning, which ranges from about May all the way to, I would say, around October, September. And then after that, it's all about fundraising and hosting events to fundraise money for these projects and educate high schoolers. But that is pretty much the timeline, I would say. So my term ends, I would say, around, I would say June, May, June. And then after that, is the next round of district council members where the new international project coordinator will create another project. But yeah, it's around a school year.
And so the reveal of the project happens at the fall gathering for interactors.
Yes, the Interact Fall Rally.
Got
Yes.
it. And so is your position, are all the leadership positions elected positions then?
Yes, so everyone has to do an application and we all get interviewed. So yeah, so we have the area directors, which are the people managing their specific areas, so our 12 areas. We have the international project coordinator, the community project coordinator, who's my co. Ben this year is my co, and he's doing a great project, working on fostering education and empowering young individuals through education, through tutoring programs and book drives. We also have our event coordinators who are the ones basically hosting or putting together the different events like IFR and our power and all these different things. And we, of course, collectively work together to build these events, but the event coordinators are the ones that are kind of like bringing together these events and getting them rolling. And then we have many different other positions like the governor and the lieutenant governor, who are the ones essentially, I would say, leading the district council. But there's many different roles for sure.
Excellent. There's some great questions that have come through the chat. So what would you say is the main reason that students join Interact?
I can talk a little bit about that through my personal experience. So I started Interact. So I joined freshman year, and honestly, when I joined, I had no idea what Interact about. Absolutely no idea. I just joined because some people, my upperclassmen, told me, "Hey, you should join Interact. It's a really cool event or a really cool club, and we have different events that we go to every single year." And that's pretty much all I knew about it. But what made me stay specifically is the fact that I met so many amazing people through Interact because it's such a big club that ranges all throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. I met amazing people with the same passions of me. So these different projects, and I've been through many different projects, and because I've been with Interact since freshman year. And I remember one of the projects that really resonated with me was actually the one from last year. We had our international project was basically managing waste pollution in Thailand. And I got to connect with a ton of people through that project. And we had the same goals staying in Interact because of the service organization and being able to put forth and bring change. And I think that's one of the biggest things is doing that with people that share the same ideals with you and staying in Interact. And of course, like meeting all these different people, of course. But I'd say that's why I stayed is being able to bring positive change, not just to the community, but internationally as well. And doing that with a bunch of amazing individuals all throughout the San Francisco Bay Area.
Well, this is such a good opportunity for us to help a lot of Rotarians better understand Interact. I think, often people have heard of it, but they don't really kind of know kind of details. So this may be a question for you or for Raymond. How many high schools do you know in our district have Interact clubs? And how many Rotary clubs sponsor these clubs? Things like that.
Um, I don't know the exact number. Raymond, do you know the number potentially?
The numbers fluctuate. And so, tactically, us at the Rotary level working with the schools help make sure that each school has a chartered Interact club that is consistent with Rotary's guidelines for chartering these high school organizations. So every year the numbers fluctuate a little bit, but we're floating around 100 clubs in the Bay Area. Yeah, and I think the last time that we had done a census, I think we were somewhere close, maybe not exactly, somewhere close to 2,000 students.
That's fantastic. The degree to which this becomes, part of kind of your consciousness, right? So Chloe, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you see changes in people who I mean, you've described it for yourself, but in thinking about your own Interact Club, I mean, do you see these changes in people who come in, stay over 2, 3, 4 years? And then they're just talking about things in a different way. They're excited about possibilities in a different way. How do you see that?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to piggy off of the previous question going into this question. So basically for Interact, it's all high school clubs. Unfortunately, my school couldn't have an Interact club, but Interact specifically was able to cater to that very well. We were able to charter a community club through Gilroy Rotary, and we were able to create this club called Sunrise Community. And what's so great about that is that it's not just only for specifically high school students from my school, but anyone in the community can come, which is super great. So middle school students can as well. And it's quite amazing. And throughout that club, when we created that community club, of course, at the time, I was just an officer. I wasn't the international project coordinator yet. And I was, of course, able to talk to my club members about the project. And honestly, from now to the international project coordinator, it's always been the same. Everyone is so enthusiastic about Interact and the projects, and especially for the revealing of the projects at Fall Leadership Conference and IFR. Interact Fall Rally. And every year is different, of course, and everyone resonates with a project differently, either whether it's more or it's a little bit less. But everyone is always eager to learn more about the projects and put forth change to the projects by helping to fundraise, whether it's fundraising or educating themselves. And especially that's done through clubs. So clubs are always going to have recaps of the events and recaps about the projects. But yeah, definitely.
Well, let's circle back to the project itself. So Heartbeats of Hope, this is bringing kind of a life-saving experience to children and their families in Vietnam. First, are there clubs in Vietnam, Rotary clubs in Vietnam, that are involved in some way in this project?
So not specifically with Interact District 51 themselves, but I do know I was talking to Vena Capital Foundation, and one of the reasons why they were so eager to work with us is because we were talking about how Rotary sponsors Interact District 5170, and I've heard before that there is a Vietnam Rotary Club that has worked with Vena Capital Foundation in helping to fundraise money as well. So not specifically with Interact District 5170 themselves for Heartbeats of Hope, but for Vena Capital Foundation and their Heartbeat project, definitely, yes. But in some way, Rotary is always connected with Interact and these projects.
Have you had a chance to visit Vietnam as a part of this project or ever?
Not as a part of this project, and honestly, as myself, I actually haven't as well. My parents did immigrate from Vietnam, but I just haven't gotten the chance to. But I've definitely heard many stories from my parents and them living in rural areas as well when they lived in Vietnam.
Very nice. So a lot of the projects that we get to hear about, projects by companies, organizations, teams doing this, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, have these partnerships that are especially important. You talked about the Boba Wars, right, as an approach to doing this, but I feel like that teaches the young people in the Interact clubs in different parts of the district how to think in terms of connecting with and partnering with local businesses. Is that something that you help them understand how to do? How does that process work for getting clubs at different schools to know the mechanics of partnering in order to support a great project like Heartbeats of Hope?
Yeah, so going into that, so as I mentioned, we have these area directors, and they do a great deal with their areas in keeping them in shape and making sure all the high school clubs know what they're doing. And of course, all of this partnering with these different local businesses and things like that is a thing that we do very often. We're constantly fundraising money for the international project. So generally, when the high school clubs do these fundraisers, they're taught to reach out by emailing or calling or even going in person. And generally for Boba War specifically, um, they are taught either by their area director or they have prior experiences fundraising. Um, but they go out and they talk to the managers of these local businesses. And for Boba Wars, they talked about what exactly Interact is, what the project is this year, and why we want to fundraise with your local business. And it's very professional. And one of the things that I talked about earlier was the President's Winter Retreat. And generally, through those events and through the Fall Leadership Conference, we have workshops. And in these workshops, we teach skills, and that's run by the district council. And we teach skills on how, professionalism, on networking, on how to manage a club, and how to motivate your volunteers, and all these different skills that are specific to managing clubs and being on district council even. So these are taught all throughout the year through different events, and of course, being able to reach out to your area director as well. So that's kind of how we are able to teach our clubs and our club members and our future successors on how to operate specifically through that.
So, would you say that there are specific professional skills that you have developed thinking about the kind of work that is done in an Interact Club, your efforts with Heartbeats of Hope specifically, but just that sense of like this is something that I don't think I would have been able to learn otherwise.
Yeah, so before Interact, um, honestly, I was a very shy individual and I had a hard time like speaking out publicly and talking to people and networking. And that's just how I was. But through Interact, even not even just through District Council, but through Interact itself, I was able to talk to so many different individuals and even Rotary members as well and Rotarians, which able to it was able to make me branch out a little bit more. But specifically through district council, um, yeah, there's a lot of different skills that I learned. I was constantly emailing people, Rotarians, and of course, reaching out to different partnering organizations that I learned how to. I would say like everyone knows how to craft an email, but I was able to understand what exactly it was to, I would say, be professional and yeah, I would say professionalism. And through Interact, I also have been able to host, or not host, but be a guest speaker at Rotary meetings as well, which taught me how to speak out publicly. So I've talked to the Gilroy Sunrise Rotary before. I talked a little about my experiences at RILA, which is another event that Interact members do go to and attend. And I was also to talk about my project as well. And of course, through today, I'm able to talk to you all through this meeting right here. But
Absolutely.
definitely for sure.
All right, good, good. Raymond, what I'd like for you to do is maybe build off of that a little bit as well. So in terms of the role that you play, mentoring Chloe and being involved in Rotary District, the Rotary District's efforts to support Interact, what are some of the things that you've seen in terms of how students are beginning to develop, kind of a new outlook as a result of their experiences in Interact?
Well, Russian, I'll tell you, I've been involved in the Interact program for over 3 years now, most recently. But fun fact, I actually was part of an Interact club back when I was in high school. A lot of things have changed in terms of how the clubs run because we've got new technology. There's, new students, and the schools are structured a little bit differently now than they were before. But what hasn't changed is the ethos, right? The Rotary values that Interact really carries through at the club level, and the leaders that it builds is really simply amazing. Um, as an advisor, I've seen students go through the Interact program, right? Club members who go to the district level fall rally where they get pumped up, they get excited about doing service, they get excited about working with like-minded, students like them who want to make a difference. And over the years, we see them kind of go through that funnel of, you're a club member, you're getting interested, you're getting excited, you're learning more. And then eventually they take on leadership positions and they go to the um, new president's meeting where at the start of the school year, they learn the ins and outs of what it takes to be a leader at their school. They go to president's winter retreat where they learn more about being a president, right? Not just a club officer. And they're also thinking about bringing students who they've seen at their school who could become future presidents, right? And then you have the folks like Chloe who, they've gone through this process, and year over year they're building their skills and they're looking for ways to do more. So it's been an amazing experience to just be a part of it, because the thing about Interact District 15170 that's really, really interesting is, like we talked about earlier, uh, at the district council level, the club level, all of these students, they elect themselves. The prior group of district council and the prior year's Interact student governors, they actually select the incoming governors for the next term. And then they in turn select their district council committee for the next term. So it's all student run. As the advisors in the room, we just help make sure that from a financial position, all of the investments that we make do result in net proceeds. And then from a risk management perspective, of course, we're working with students from age anywhere from 13 to 18, right? So we want to make sure they're safe when they go through all of these things. But no, it's been amazing. I think it's a really, really unique program. It's a really unique opportunity for students to learn by doing firsthand.
Wonderful, Raymond. Thank you. I think what we'll do is we'll have Chloe have you finish off kind of this standard stretch here before we do the wind down, and I'd like to ask you just a little about you. How do you see yourself going forward now that you have been through this process? You've spent like all of this time in this particular role. You've seen the power of motivating people to get involved in a project. What does this mean for you in your future?
Um, it's a very big question, I would say for sure. Yeah, I've learned so much through Interact, and I've learned so much through being the international project coordinator. Um, in general, for my future goals, like I said, I created this project purely through my passion, specifically through healthcare. So, as a graduating senior coming up, I want to go into the healthcare world and I want to become a nurse and specifically a nurse anesthetist, which has a lot to do. Um, Also, I could be in the operating room for heart surgeries or many different things. So that's kind of my future goals in the future. But definitely, like everything that I put forth into Interact and learn from Interact, I know for a fact it's going to be skills that I bring forward, whether it's networking or professionalism or purely bringing change, which I know I will be doing in the future through healthcare. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I learned from Interact and what I'll bring on into the future.
Nice. Well, very, very cool. I'll hand it back to you for the final word in just a minute. But for all of you who have taken time to watch this recording or listen to the podcast, or maybe you're just connected to a school that has like a really impressive Interact program. Our club quite proudly sponsors the Interact Club at KIPP San Jose Collegiate in San Jose and the good work that they do. It is a special opportunity, I think, that Rotary has to help young people understand the joy and meaning that comes through service and to build the leadership skills that will allow these kinds of things to be possible, in their lives now and going forward. So, as we always like to do, we hand it back to our speaker for the final word. Chloe, what would you like people to have in mind as they finish listening to or watching this recording?
So I just want to thank everyone for staying until the very end, and hopefully you learned a little bit about what Interact is and what we do, and of course the project for this year. But I really want to encourage Rotarians and anyone to continue to support Interact because we do many different projects every single year, and specifically through the project this year. I hope everyone can understand that it's an important project for Interact. It's an important project for Rotary as well. But specifically for those young children that don't have the funds and the money to be able to have healthcare themselves, it's really important for those 33 children that will be receiving heart surgeries this year. So I hope that in the future, through this project and through projects in the future, people continue to support Interact and support and educate themselves on these projects. But thank you again so much for having me. And yeah.
You are very welcome. My guess is that as a future Rotarian, you'll be making these kinds of things happen for kids in Vietnam for decades to come. And so we congratulate you on your work. We thank everyone who's been part of it, and we will see you next week.